All right. Welcome one and all to the Off the Rails Sports Podcast. I am John. I am here with Brian. How you doing today, Brian?
Hey, we're doing great. And before we start, I have to come correct. I made an erroneous statement on our last podcast that was pretty freaking ridiculous.
Okay.
When I said Schwarber was up to 200 strikeouts for the year already, it was pretty stupid.
Well,
What I
I
had
mean,
misrepresented was he was on pace for.
yeah, I get it. Look, look, Brian, you're dealing with literally 1,000 statistics. It's okay to take a projection and put it into a reality, right? I mean, even Buster Olney gets them wrong, right?
All right.
Just
Well,
telling you.
the one time I was wrong, I want to acknowledge.
Well, I do. You're going to be wrong again today. Let's get
Oh,
going on that.
all right. All right.
All right. You know, we're going to talk about the legacy of Mike Trout versus Aaron Judge, but first I want to talk about some things going on in baseball. What did you think about the Yankees coming into Dodger Stadium? Dodgers got the series win, didn't get the sweep. What did you think about the two best teams in baseball?
Actually, I was out at a family event, and I got to see part of the Saturday game
Oh, lucky you.
because, like we've talked about, I don't get to watch the local teams here because I subscribe to the MLB network.
Okay. Yeah, of
So
course.
I got to see the Dodgers play a little bit, but yeah, Dodgers kicked their ass that day. But hey, you know what? The Dodgers won 2 out of 3 at home.
Okay.
What are you going to say? I mean, they should have won 2 out of 3 at home, right? And the Yankees got one on the road against Dodgers. That's a good.
Yeah.
It worked out okay for either team.
Yeah, but I
But
mean, the Dodgers just seem like they were superior. I mean, I'm not going to just talk about the massive, ass whooping on Saturday. I don't know, the Dodgers just seem they're always scary. Even if you're up 6-2, coming into the eighth inning, man, everybody is still biting their nails, right? I mean, the Dodgers are just that goddamn good. They got the
all right,
best player of all time with Shohei Ohtani. You do know that,
okay.
right? Okay. Let's also talk about this weekend. We also had another sweep of the Colorado Rockies. At some point, I mean, they're not even on track to get 30 wins. I mean, really? Does Major
Didn't they
League
win last
Baseball
night?
need to step in? What?
Didn't they win last night? They're up to 10.
Yeah. Yeah, great. Wow, they beat them. Yeah, great. Kumbaya, they beat the Marlins. All right. So, I mean, should Major League Baseball step in and say, you know what, we need new ownership here?
No.
Oh, God, of course they should. Of course they
Why?
should. You know what? I do think that they have a responsibility to the community, and I'm just getting so tired of these guys just taking these payments from, baseball's fund, and not putting it back into the team. I mean, how can you be this bad for 5 straight years? This bad. I mean, they're getting worse every year, Brian.
Well, they I guarantee you they won't be worse than this next year.
No, you can't. You absolutely can't. If I would have told you, honestly, think about this. If we would have went back 1 year and I would have said, Brian, they only got 53 wins this year. Are they going to be worse next year? You said absolutely not. I mean, the Chicago White Sox lowered the limbo line, when they got their 41 wins. If
Right.
I would tell you that if I would have said, there's a team that's going to get less than 41 wins, you'd have said, no, that's just not possible. Eventually, somebody gets an error, right? We're going to win some games like we did last night. I mean,
Right.
the ineptness is just insane. All right,
Well, I don't
go
know.
ahead.
Because then what are you going to do? Are you going to jump in there then and say, the Dodgers are getting too many good players. They're not allowed to have any more.
No, I
I
don't
mean,
care about that. I'm not talking about the top, but look,
well, if
Rob
you're going to affect
Manfred.
the bottom, then what stops the league from stepping in and going after the team that's on top. That every other team is saying we can't compete with them. So
Well,
no,
I don't think the Red Sox are saying that. I mean, look, at the end of the day, you know, you I don't know. It's just when Rob Manfred says he is thinking about making Tampa Bay ownership sell their team because they didn't get a stadium deal done with the local entities. What is the difference between that and putting just a piss poor product on the field for 5 straight years? And literally, it's like my stock portfolio, it is going off a cliff, right? I mean, come on, man. At some point, don't you have to at least get a year? Brian, the high water mark for them is let's get 60 wins. Only have 100 losses. Not 110, not 120. Yeah, we're going for 130, man. Colorado's strong.
all right,
All right.
you just
Jesus.
keep focusing on the negative.
Yeah, I will. Oh, I watched that Red Sox game yesterday. I don't
How'd
know
that
if you
go?
saw.
I wasn't able to see it because they were playing the Angels.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, right? Your local team.
Yep.
And we're in the first inning. They score a run. We got two guys on base. They hit an easy grounder to third. Toro, it goes right off his chest. They score a run, and then Mike Trout hits a 3-run jack, and we lose 7-6, right? And I'm thinking to myself, where's Devers? Where's Devers? Where's my boy?
He was DHing, man.
Yeah, he is. And I did see, I think it's more than a coincidence Big Poppy came out in defense of Devers. The other day when he said, hey, just let him be the DH. All
Because
right.
that's what they wanted him to be, right?
Yeah, that's what they print. All right, let's talk about two of the seminal talents in the last 15 years in the American League, Mike Trout and Aaron Judge. Now, obviously, they have different career trajectories. My question to you, Brian, is going to be when they're both done with their careers, who will have the greater legacy? Okay?
Well, the legacy will, fair or not, will come down to who's won the most World Series. That's
Hmm.
always going to be the number one question is championships. That's
Hmm.
just the way today's world is. Because, you know, nobody talks about the great player. It's very, very rare that the great players that didn't win championships are mentioned among the all-time greats. Very rare.
King.
It
King
does happen
Griffey,
with some. It does happen with some, but it's rare.
Ted Williams, Ernie Banks.
Yeah, Ernie Banks.
Yeah, I
Who's
think
putting him
Ernie.
in their top five shortstops of all time?
I would.
Nobody.
Please.
Okay, so I think that's going to be the main determining factor.
Okay.
Uh, Trout has got about what 5 years more than Judge on his resume
Yeah,
so far.
yeah, he did. He came in basically in 2011. Judge came in 2016. Let me give everybody some stats. Mike Trout, 3-time MVP, Rookie of the Year, 11-time All Star. Aaron Judge, 2-time MVP, uh, 6-time All Star. There you go.
Okay, uh, Judge will I would say Judge will probably end up with more home runs lifetime, just because he's a more of a home run hitter than Trout has
Sure,
been.
sure.
Uh, Trout obviously since 2020 has not played a lot.
No, 21 was the
Judge,
only year he played a lot. Go ahead.
yeah. So if you look at Judge, he had a couple of years early in his career where he missed a lot of time, and that
Yeah,
was when he was starting out. That was my biggest concern with him was everybody's talking about how great he's going to be, and I was, well, the guy's got to stay on the field,
sure.
and he's got that under his belt now. It'll be just a determining factor of how long can Judge maintain this peak level that he's currently on? Because the last 3 years he's been outstanding.
Sure.
He is by far, and I'm going to say by far, the best hitter in the game today.
Well, I think
Trout,
Shohei Ohtani may argue with that, but yeah, okay. I
yeah, he
mean,
can lose that argument. That's fine.
well, I mean,
Trout, with Trout, we're looking at okay, can the guy get to back to playing 100 plus games a year? And if he can, he's going to compile up some stats because when he plays, he is still effective.
okay,
This
let's just
just this
assume.
since he came back off the DL, he's played 4 games and got 8 hits.
Okay, but let's just assume we're on the downslide of his career. Okay, he's going to have 4 more years and he's going to play an average of 70 games a year. The stats, they're going to be kind of thing, but it's kind of like Willie Mays at the end, right? I mean, we're kind of just setting the sunset on his career. I think Judge is still at peak efficiency. I'm just asking you, when we're looking at it at the end of the careers, who do you think is going to be more celebrated? Who's going to be held in higher esteem?
Probably Judge,
Why do you think that?
because because even if he doesn't win a World Series, and let's assume Trout's not going to, because he plays on such a crappy team, because he's the New York guy
Mm-hmm.
getting all the pub. Trout's in SoCal, but he's on the wrong team in SoCal,
Mm-hmm.
so he doesn't get as much pub as he did. Judge, I mean, it's safe to say he's going to get a third MVP this year, and then they're even on the MVPs. He's, like I said, he's going to be the bigger home run hitter, and just the New York thing. So I think there you go.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth there. I mean, I do think that Mike Trout on the field is has a better career. Absolutely. He played stellar defense in center field. He was a better base runner. That 11-year run was just honestly just impeccable. But I do think the thing that is going to, and this just is, yeah, it plays right into your point, he was never a media star. He could have been a media star, but he always took the approach of, I'm not going to talk to the reporters as much. I'm going to let my play on the field dictate what my legacy is. I think Judge is, and I think this is also where we go with Derek Jeter. He was much more media accessible in the biggest media market in the world. And I think that is why that's why Big Poppy got into the Hall of Fame as a DH, right? Because he was so good with the media. And, well, I mean, let's call it what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, Edgar Martinez was just as good of a DH, but hey, sorry, nobody knows who you are. Eventually he got in there, but it being in a big media market, and these voters, if you're nice to them, they're going to vote for you for the Hall of Fame, right? I do think I do think that Mike Trout has a lot of advantages over Mike or Aaron Judge. I think he was a better defensive player. I think he's a better base runner. I am impressed that Aaron Judge is, as a right-handed hitter, able to hit 50 plus home runs over 3 years or 3 different seasons in Yankee Stadium, which is, I can't even get my head around that. That's the hardest
Because he
place
hits
for
his home runs to right field, though.
well,
He's
he
got the
does hit
opposite
some.
field power. He hits a
He,
lot of them to right field,
he does.
and then
So
he
at
gets
the
to go
end,
on the road to Fenway a lot. Man, imagine if the Red Sox had a right-handed power hitter.
I don't know if you how much you're obviously way in tune with baseball, but that was always the rumor back in the 40s of the Red Sox were going to trade Ted Williams to the Yankees for Joe DiMaggio. Because the
Yeah,
right-handed hitter power and the left-handed power played really well. I keep waiting to see, we had it for a year with Juan Soto. What's going to happen if the Yankees ever really do get a super power hitter at the left side, Mattingly style, right?
yeah, that'd be pretty, pretty exciting if
Yeah,
they
it
had a
really
if
be.
they had that if they had that guy to pair up with Judge like the Red Sox had with Manny and Poppy.
Right,
You know,
right. Yeah,
that'd
how
be
do you
pretty
pitch them?
incredible.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess that's so. I guess my final adjudication is I think Judge is going to be looked at a lot more favorably. I mean, they're both going to be all-time greats. I really do
Yeah.
think that's going to happen. But I do think because of the media and just the access that people have had to him, I think people are going to have the view of Mike Trout of, and for me, it's the Willie Mays thing, 73 with the Mets, where people were booing him when he'd strike out. I hope that doesn't happen to Mike Trout because he's such a class act, but people have very short memories.
Yeah, I don't think Trout's going to be that bad, but it's going to be one of those things where uh, he's going to drift down to becoming an average player, which is
Okay.
still going to produce some numbers
Okay.
and keep him there. The other great thing about both of them is they're both super good guys that don't get into trouble off the field,
Sure.
and they're both not. They're both. You were talking about Judge gets more media attention, but he doesn't seek it out. It's just because he's in New York. It comes
Right.
to him,
Sure.
and that's why he's just more public.
I will say this that on Instagram, I think Mike Trout's now hanging with Fernando Tatis. So I don't know how that's all going to go. I mean, I'm not saying there's problems there. No, that's not happening. I'm just making a funny. All right. You got anything else to talk about on the world of baseball?
Go
All right.
Sox, right?
Jesus
Uh,
Christ.
uh,
How are we
What?
in fourth place? How are we in fourth place?
Because the Orioles are so bad.
I guess.
I gotta say, when does we talked about this last week too, but I keep getting just flabbergasted by it. When does Alex Cora start getting heat about when does he have to take the fall?
I don't know. And
Because
and
even if
I'm
it's not his fault, when does he have to take the fall? Because they've underproduced for so long now,
right.
and he's just
I'm not
locked in.
arguing. I mean, I'm watching the game yesterday, and I'm telling you, Brian, Christ's sake, every player for the Boston's hitting 280 or 300. Ref Snyder, 298. Abreu. I'm like, Jesus criminy. How are we this pathetic? And then, we get down 6-0, and then we get close, we rally, and then the Angels or 5-0, and then the Angels put that 6 run on and we lose 6-5. I'm like, yeah, this is a Boston Red Sox game. This is the same stuff I've been seeing for the last 5 effing years. Like, is it the curse of Mookie or what is that? I don't know. And is
I
Roman
don't
Anthony
know.
going to come up? I mean, can
Yeah, why
can
is it?
he?
What is the reason to not bring him up? I saw that the is it the Royals? They're bringing up their
Yeah,
next top guy because
Caglioni.
they're contending, right?
Right.
So let's bring up this freaking top prospect, get him up there.
Sure.
No,
Sure.
the Red Sox don't want to do that with the number one prospect in all of the minor leagues.
Especially when you
They
got
don't
a
need
hole at first.
they don't need that. They
No.
don't, who cares if they got a hole at first? He would be better than the center fielder they have now. So just play him in his regular position.
Well, I mean, okay, I'm going to ask you this. Rafaela has no bat. He is Jackie Bradley Jr. incarnate, but he has stellar defense. I mean, I watched it yesterday.
Yeah.
Is that worth giving up for Roman Anthony? I don't know.
Well, you know what? He's also a pretty capable infielder because he's played some shortstop before and stuff. So you
Sure.
use him as your super utility type guy. You know what? When Jared Duran needs a day off, you put him out there. If Roman Anthony needs a day off, put him out there. If Abreu needs a day off, you put him out there. I mean, Ref Snyder, cool. The guy's hitting 300, but he plays twice a week.
Right.
So he's like a backup guy.
I guess.
So,
You're right. What am I going to
so
say?
I mean, yeah, and they're bringing up all these different guys, and they brought up Meyer, a shortstop, to play third base. Uh, why? If you're going to play him out of position, then why can't you bring up Anthony?
I'm not arguing. And you sent me that clip of Craig Breslow, the GM, whatever he is, the GM, the operations. And I literally listen to that and I want to vomit in my own mouth because it's just such a word salad bullshit. Like nobody wants to take any accountability. I look at our organization and we've obviously had a great 21 year run. We've got 4 titles. Cool. Right. But I look at the Yankees and I don't see, and they're in the biggest media market and nobody is just doing this kind of backsliding of, well, we're going to just have to see how it all plays out. This is how it was when I got here. I mean, it's like, do I got 3 more years of this Craig Breslow bullshit?
Probably.
Yeah, right. Minimum, right? Dombrowski. I'm just saying. All right. Any final words and thoughts?
I'm done for today.
All right. I get you. I want to throw up on my own mouth again. All right. If you could, we're done today for Off the Rails Sports Podcast. If you could hit that like and subscribe button, it means a lot to us. Leave some comments. I will do my best to respond to them. And we'll see you soon on Off the Rails Sports Podcast. Yep, there you go.